There are people who talk about the creative process with such humility. You know, there's a sense that something larger than yourself has worked its way through you. You know, to paraphrase Khalil Gibran's notion about children, the creative process, creativity comes through you, but not from you. Though it is with you, it belongs not to you, right? You know, this notion that we are the frontal lobes of the universe. And so when we craft beauty, when we vocalize, when we utter inspiration, what are we actually doing? Are we creating something that isn't there, or are we merely transcribing, right? The notion of inspiration means we're breathing in and exhaling what we've taken in. So we're merely transcribing the observation.
Check this out.
Yeah, sure. What is this?
It's a cat on roller skates.
Hi there folks, my name is Noah Sokolsky and you're watching Pinpoint here on DeetDoe Productions.
Noah, why do you make YouTube videos?
Well, because I have no self-respect and too much free time.
Well, no, I mean, like, why do you feel the need to make stuff and put it on the internet?
Well, I think it stems from the fact that when I was younger, some people called me creative, and I sort of just ran with it, considering I don't have many redeeming qualities. Today's question, how does one creative? To save time in this video, I got myself a book, and we can just take a look inside here. It's a step-by-step guide on how to be creative. Step 1, be born. Okay, I think I got that one. Step 2, steal from others. Okay, step 3, procrastinate. What does this have to do with creativity? Step 4, discard your dignity. And step 5, repeat. Yeah, this wasn't very helpful. Who wrote this?
What is the 14th Amendment?
What is the 14th Amendment?
What is the 14th Amendment?
Oh, I see you've been reading my book.
Okay, let's back this up. Why are we creative? Well, I present to you Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is basically...
What does this have to do with creativity, you lick spittle?
I'm getting to it, okay? This is basically a hierarchy of what every human being needs in order to feel accepted and basically survive. All the way at the bottom are the things that are absolutely necessary for a human to survive. I'm talking eating, I'm talking sleep, I'm talking sex. All of these things are essential in order to have a basic human life. Right above that is safety. Basically, people want to have a steady job, they want to have shelter, they want to feel like they're not going to be eaten by wild animals all the time. Right above that, we have love and acceptance. This is something that I wish I had if my dad would just f***ing accept my art, but of course he has to go.
Dad, I tried like so hard on this, like, and you're being ridiculous.
I'm being ridiculous?
Yes, you're being ridiculous.
Noah, a 4th grader could have done this.
Dad, what the hell?
I'm being serious. Noah, this is...
all right.
I don't know what you really expect me to do.
Do you see this? Do you see what I go through every day? Do you see this? This is going on YouTube, I hope you know.
See what I go through? I don't want to be in your video.
Come on, Dad! Look, wait, he's trashing the house. Wow. Wow.
Essentially, this layer is all about feeling loved and accepted. As we go up the ladder of needs, fewer and fewer people have what the needs describes. For example, the next one is respect and self-esteem. Humans really want to feel like they've done something great in this world, so they achieve things and they make accomplishments, and because of this, they want to feel respected and admired. And once they get that admiration, they can move on to the next step. And of course, I have this step because I work really hard on my videos, and you can see how much respect and admiration I get from that for my sub count. The last layer of Maslow's hierarchy is self-actualization. Now this one is kind of complicated, but essentially it's about discovering why you're here on planet Earth. It's enhancing your creativity, it's finding a purpose to your existence. Self-actualization seems to be exclusive to humans. Why don't we see any like self-actualized bears who are creating Picasso paintings, or bees that are discovering the theory of relativity? It doesn't make sense. Well, let's think of it this way. In terms of wild animals, their hierarchy of needs stops at safety. It's because they can't ever truly be safe. They're always struggling to survive and feel like they can be as safe as possible, but they'll never truly be there like humans are. Moving up, we can go to domestic animals, and maybe they're safe and they feel secure, but they'll never feel true love. A human could never love a house cat as much as They love their own newborn baby, unless, you know, they're a crazy cat lady. So the whole purpose of a house pet is to achieve the perfect love and affection from that human. And as sad as it is, that cat will never get perfect love and affection. But it's really not that bad because it gives that cat purpose. In terms of humans, self-actualization is sort of a frontier that we'll never be able to perfectly reach. Much like a bear can't reach perfect safety and a house cat can't achieve perfect love. For us, we can't create anything that is indeed perfect. That's fundamentally not possible. Yet we always try to do it. We struggle to get the best results out of our creativity, and that's why we live in our self-actualized society. We're trying to be as perfect as possible even though we'll never get there, and that in itself gives us purpose. This is where creativity comes from.
So I mean, the first step in this book said to be born, and essentially if you're born a human, that's correct. Your job is to be creative, so inherently being born a human makes you creative.
I told you.
Fine, yes, you told me.
Congratulations. Okay, well, that kind of blows that our whole purpose here is by definition unachievable. But maybe the destination isn't the answer, but rather the journey.
If you play the game well and have fun doing it, you could be just as fulfilled as anyone. Creativity is not the only path to self-actualization, but it's a hell of a good place to start. So how can you become more creative? Sadly, there's not one recipe to make everyone creative. Everyone has their own creative process, but there are some similarities that a lot of creative people follow in order to come up with new ideas. And the first step is almost always the same: preparation. You have to decide that you're going to write that book, that you're going to make that video, that you're going to do something. And that leads to going out in the world and experiencing things. You could get inspiration from books, TV shows, plays, anything. You gather that information and you make connections in your brain. You start thinking, well, this worked really well in this thing, and this worked really well in this thing. What if we combined elements of those, and let me put in my own spin on it to sort of come up with something like that. This is the preparation of how to create something new. This sort of like, this idea of like collecting things around you and meshing them together to sort of come up with the first inklings of new ideas. The most important thing is that your brain makes connections between the things that you experience. Let's just say that someone was eating peanut butter one day and they were just like, this tastes pretty good. And then they go over to a jelly jar and they're like, this tastes pretty good. Then they made the connection in their brain that, wow, those could taste really good together. And this person was most likely creative, so they decided to put it together in a sandwich, and bam, life is better because we have peanut butter and jelly. This is what you have to do. You have to make connections with the things you see around you and sort of combine them and put your own spin on them. This isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's almost impossible to come up with something that's completely original and not based on anything else.
Well, screw that. I can come up with something original right now. Well, what if we put balloons on checkouts? That's original.
Well, assuming that idea had any sort of purpose behind it, we could actually break that down to its components. You didn't invent chickens, and you didn't invent balloons. Chickens come from nature, and balloons come from someone else. We could even break that down even further. The people who invented balloons took that from the people who invented latex, and the people who invented latex took that from people who invented plastic and oil and that sort of thing. And oil comes from nature too. Essentially, all ideas boil down to deriving inspiration from nature from one way or another. Bringing this into a bigger picture, if you want to make something that's like artistic or something that's functional, you take inspiration from other people. That's just what you do. And that's not plagiarism, that's just taking inspiration. It's part of the creative process.
So, kind of like step 2 of my book?
Look, the way you worded it is so backwards, okay?
Okay.
Now, sadly, ideas can't be fully fleshed out as soon as you think of them and come up with connections. In fact, you come up with about 65,000 new ideas every single day. The thing is, they're not all great. They don't resonate with people. Sometimes they're prejudiced by accident. Sometimes they're just flat out bad. It takes a while for things to be connected and actually make sense and practical. Oftentimes, creative endeavors take months or even years to complete. As inefficient as this sounds, it's actually a huge part of the creative process. It's called the incubation stage. Let me explain how this works. Let's say that you're creating a YouTube video and you have all the components together and you're starting to mash it all together and you're starting to realize that it's missing something and you can't quite put your finger on it. So your friend tells you to sleep on it, and as much as you want to keep working on that video to hammer out that missing component, you reluctantly agree. You go to sleep, and when you wake up in the morning, all of a sudden, it makes sense. You figured out what the video is missing, and boom, You come up with this aha moment that fixes everything that's wrong with your creative project. This is called the insight phase, which is triggered by the incubation phase. Now, why is it that it takes time for you to get to that insight, that aha moment? In terms of our example, the reason why you're in a rut is because your brain is full. Think of it like a balloon. It can expand but only hold so much. Most of that balloon is filled with that YouTube video, but oh, don't you remember that one time when you punched your brother and broke his nose? That was funny. Oh, look, a funny cat video. You sure haven't picked up that guitar in a while. Do you want some? Hey, don't forget your homework. Wow, you have 7 more Instagram followers. Hey, remember when you peed yourself in the Jurassic World movie because the dinosaur looked like he was gonna eat you? Your brain is just so full of stimulation that it gets distracted from the things it really needs to focus on. So that's why sleep, or the incubation phase, is important. Now note that the incubation phase isn't only exclusive to sleep. Sometimes artists go for walks or any other low-thinking activity. It sort of drains out the irrelevant stuff and leaves only what you need in order to complete your creative task. This is what triggers that aha moment, because there's nothing left but that thing that you can focus on.
Step 3 of my book. Procrastination.
Yeah. Now, the next step is a bit of a crossroads. You have this idea that you spent all this time on, you incubated, you came up with the connections, and you finally created it. And all of a sudden, you only have one thing left to do. Release it. And as tough as it may be, you have to do it. You have to release what you've created and get feedback from it. You can't hold yourself back in this stage, because if you never release anything, you're never gonna learn, you're never gonna improve. So as long as it doesn't harm anybody, then I say whatever you create, put out there for others to see so you can get feedback, so you can improve. Hell, George Lucas, he created Star Wars, one of the biggest franchises in all of entertainment. George Lucas definitely didn't expect his dinky little space pirate movie to become super successful with millions of dollars and butthurt fans. But look where it is now. He was probably thinking the same thing that anyone else was thinking. Well, geez, I don't want to put this out there because people might hate it. People might think it's the worst thing ever. Here's my advice to you. If they do think it's the worst thing ever, so what? You learn from it, you move on, and you keep going. And this is where step 5 comes in. Repeat. Any good creative person will put something out there, receive feedback, and immediately start on their next project because they know that they can learn from every single project they create. So essentially, the book was right. Step 1, be born a human. Step 2, steal from others. Step 3, procrastinate. Step 4, discard your dignity. And step 5, the most important one, is to repeat. I was wrong about you. Your book is pretty insightful.
Sure was. Wait. Who are you again?
Thanks for watching Pinpoint. My name is Noah Sokolsky, and I'll see you next time here on DeetDoe Productions.